Here with you today, and I know we all feel the same way.
I am so excited to be here too, Ruby. I can't help but want to sort of move into this conversation by reflecting on the superpower that came to me because I had a cat on my lap and I thought, my gosh, how amazing would it be? Cats have many superpowers, as those of us who love cats know. But the one that came to me, and this is relevant for I'll talk a little bit about place and poetry and story. But cats with their whiskers are able to locate themselves in space at all times, right? So it's how like they can squeeze through small spaces because their whiskers will always tell them where are they? How small is the space? How expansive is the space? And so this physical ability to just to sense in the most delicate ways with the tiniest of filaments where they are in space just struck me in that moment as a power that I would like to have. So thank you for that, Ruby.
Oh, you're so welcome, and thank you for that. That is just fantastic. I turn it over to you. I cannot, I will only be thinking about the filaments this evening when I go to bed. That is going to be my most wonderful thing. Thank you, please.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having that come to me. I had not thought of cat's whiskers as powerful filaments until you were speaking earlier, so thank you. And it's a beautiful segue, actually, and I love it when the universe delivers these delightful segues, because the thing that I want to talk about today, and I want to leave time for conversation as well, of course, is about the unique, powerful, mythic characteristics of place in the sense of topos and topias. So having that little inspiration of how a cat is able to locate itself in unique space and the poetic elements of a cat's ability to locate itself in space is a perfect segue, because the particular characteristic that I want to talk about as we talk about topos and topias is this unique understanding of place and space, not just as geographic realities, but as the ways in which we position ourselves. The ancient Greek word topos has that characteristic of not just referring to place in the sense of where are the places that we live, or how do we define places, or how do we locate places, but rather how do we locate our own positions? How do we position ourselves in relationship to each other? How do we position ourselves in relationship to the world? It also has a secondary meaning in literary theory of theme. So you can even get this sense of topos and topia as relating to this idea of positioning. You can think of the thematic elements of topos as a topography of meaning. How do we locate meaning in a work? How do we locate meaning in a story? How do we locate ourselves in a story? All of this is a very nerdy point of entry into not just unpacking these words etymologically, but understanding what they can reveal to us about the possibilities of narrative and the possibilities of topian, let's just call them generically topian narratives. We're all familiar. I know protopia is a topic of discussion in this community. Utopias and dystopias are narrative forms that we're all pretty familiar with, right? It's place in the context of a kind of narrative positioning. And in the case of utopia, it's a narrative positioning around the question of what is a good place. It has the double meaning. It was coined by Thomas More in the 16th century when he wrote the book Utopia, as a double meaning of both good and non. And we often now have come to understand the meaning of utopia as a non-place, right? An impossible place, a place that doesn't exist. But Thomas More meant it in the dual sense of both the good, from the Greek eu, good, and from the you, the not, right? The place that is both good but potentially impossible. And he meant it as an examination of the critical challenges of imagining the good place, right? When we say to ourselves as storytellers and as builders and as creators that we want to manifest good places, we want to position ourselves in the right way, in the just way, in the moral way, in the ethical way, we are imposing an understanding on the world, in locating ourselves in that place, in that utopic place, in asserting the idea of a place is good, we're imposing a kind of meaning. When Roxy and I spoke earlier in the week, we talked a bit about some of those dominating impulses. And if you've heard me speak on the sort of alternatives to heroes' journeys and heroic narratives, you know that I think a lot about how we wrap our heads and hearts around these dominating impulses, not to get rid of them, but to be critical of them. And so the thing I love about the original framing of Utopia is that it had that critical element. It asked us to say, what is good? What is a good place? What is the good positioning of humans in the world and to each other? But how do we understand it critically? It's forcing a kind of critical awareness upon us that we need to be engaged with. So the driving question of utopia is a question. It's what is a good place? The repositioning that we're going to talk about, that we're starting to talk about, that you are all engaged in already in all of the amazing work that you're doing, is the question of what is the generative place? What is the creative place? What are the places, what is our positioning to each other and to the world that draws from our imaginations, that engages with both impossibility and impossibility? Which is why I want to introduce the idea, and Roxy and I spoke a little bit about this earlier in the week, of poietopia. That is to say, a topia that's oriented around the idea of poesis. Poesis, as I said in our last talk, is the ancient Greek word from which we derive the word poetry. It means very simply to make, or to create, or to cultivate. But it doesn't mean it in the sense of building with our hands. It doesn't mean it in the sense of being a maker of things. It's meant in the sense of creating from nothing, or from creating from the realm of ideas, creating from the realm of our imagination. We might craft a chair out of wood, but we create or we cultivate or we reveal poetry. We reveal art. We reveal innovation. So poesis is this idea that has been worked through by many, many thinkers, Plato and then Aristotle and then many, many others across history, and later Heidegger talked a lot about what poesis can mean for us as we grapple with our existence as meaning-making beings. What does it mean to make meaning out of nothing? For them, it didn't mean literally nothing. It meant drawing from the materials of our minds, of our hearts, and of our spirits. For Plato, it was drawing from the realm of ideas. For Heidegger later, it was framed as a kind of bringing forth, a revealing of the immanent properties that already exist in things. The way that Heidegger applied it in the context of technology, for example, was to say poesis is this making meaning out of nothing that can apply to poetry. That is to say, summoning words from inside ourselves, summoning ideas and visions and inspiration from ourselves or from the collective unconscious or from however we want to imagine what the realm of our imagination looks like. Heidegger said we can also imagine poesis as this technique, as this technological imperative, where we reveal the immanent properties of things through their creation. So to go back to that wooden chair, we might say that the invention of a wooden chair revealed what was already inherent in wood. The possibility was already there in wood for a wooden chair to be created. And so his suggestion was, and it's one that I love, is that all of these properties, all of these things that live in our collective unconscious and in the realm of the spirit and in the realm of our imagination are all things that could exist. All possibilities at all time carry this sense of revealing, that once we apply the powers, our poetic powers of creating, of revealing, of bringing forth, anything becomes possible. Poietopia, then, rather than just the good place or the impossible place, we might say is a condition of possibility for shared human experience that draws from our collective imaginations. That is to say, it is an idea that we can carry forward and that we can activate around, that we can create around, that we can bring our own ideas to, and use that creative energy to manifest possibility more fully. So we could say then too that it's a set of generative ideas about humanity, how we might live together in relation, again, our positioning in space and time, our positioning with each other, with our filament whiskers, sensing each other in space and time, but also sensing our relationship to the world and using our imaginations to create new possibility, to plumb all the possibility that is imminent within us, the possibility that's imminent in all things, but apply it to this sense of generation, of creation, towards things that we would like to think are good, but also carrying that sense of critical awareness that we need to explore these imminent possibilities in that posture of, do they sit in relation to others? How do they sit in that positioning? What is the topic, right? What is the topos of these elements of our imagination? And how do we get generative? How do we get poetic about them together? So if we say that it's cultivating ideas, if it's summoning all of the materials of our imagination, we can say that we're working towards making manifest these ideas through a creative tending and nurturing of possibility itself. The age that we're living in, I think, and I think we all share something along the lines of this view, is something more significant than another technological age. We're living in an age that is richer and more full of possibility than even just an information age. We're living, I think, in what we could call a poetic age. We might say, to use the parlance of the time, we're living in the age of the creator, the age in which more of us than ever before have access to the tools, to the communities, to the spaces, to each other, in order to actually act upon our imaginations, to do more. We are giving ourselves more permission. We are living at this moment in human history that I would argue that if it's not unprecedented, it's very, very, very new for the first time in a very, very long time, for so many of us to feel like we have permission to tap into our imaginations, that we have permission to take seriously the idea that we can be creators, that we can be creative, that we can tell our stories, that we can make our stories, that we can collaborate with each other in generative and creative ways. We all have access to our imaginations. Imagination is one thing that is truly democratically accessible. Nike used to say, if you have a body, you're an athlete. We can say, if you have an imagination, you're a creator. We can say, if you have an imagination, you're a human. And we can activate those imaginations collaboratively, poetically, in this sense of active, nurturing, tending creation. That is to say, the bringing together the products and materials of our imaginations and exploring them as we would in a playground or in a vast landscape, in a process of discovery that, as long as we keep it collaborative, that is to say, as long as we always remember the topos of what we're doing, what is our position always in relation to each other and in relation to the world, then we are activating what I think of as that poetopic opportunity. And I recognize how nerdy and arcane that sounds. When I say I'm a recovering academic, I mean it. One is never, ever, ever fully far away from philosophy. So here I am making new words out of the Greek and insisting upon them. But I love this idea of the poetry and the topos coming together in a way that gives us even more permission to activate our collective imaginations toward a shared story about how we might live. A shared story that invites us, again, to consider our respective positions in space and in time and in relationship to each other, and to sit in those positions in a generous, generative posture of creativity, where we look at each other in the term that Roxy used earlier in the week was the softened gaze, the gaze of expectation, the gaze of expectation of possibility, and allow ourselves to draw deeply and collaboratively from that immense, infinite well of ideas and inspiration and vision, and to do it together. And with that, I'm going to stop speaking at you and hope that we can speak with each other. If anyone would like to weigh in or reflect or ask questions.
Yeah, if you have any questions for Catherine right now, this would be a great time. I don't think we have to stack it. You can unmute yourselves and we'll start seeing. I have a few, but I can wait. Who'd like to go? I saw some really engaged faces.
I'm just going to take a moment to welcome Catherine out of the shipping container. And back
Yes, I'm no longer in the shipping container. I am home with my books.
Wonderful. You know, every time you come and visit with us, there is poetry, even though you might consider them nerdy approaches to it. I just find that, and the idea that we are in the age of poetry speaks deeply to me, because it seems to be when I come onto the Design Science Studio with all these folks here, all that comes out is poetry, and it astonishes me, because that's not the way I usually speak, but it just is a weaving, and it's a collective weaving. If I listen carefully and go there, it's beautiful, and it's not my own words, and that's what I love about it. Thank you for joining us again today.
I love that, Mark. There are two reflections on what you just said. One is that, of course, it's happening. Of course, the work in this community is poetic in both the sense that I meant and in the sense of generating poetry in the way that we usually think about it. Because that's what happens when we're invited to organically tap into our own vision and our own inspiration. That's what emerges. It is the thing, we're poetic beings. When Aristotle said that man or humans are political animals, he didn't mean that we do politics. He meant that we make meaning together, right? We're meaning-making beings. And when we're given permission to make meaning together, then it is poetry that emerges. The other piece of it, though, Mark, that I think is important is that, because you talked about listening and hearing others' words, it's also what happens when we listen curiously and attentively and generously to each other. We hear the poetry that we all naturally produce, right? If we just listen for it, it is there, right? It's always there. And so I think you hear so much poetry here because you and everyone here in this community are actively and poetically listening.
Thank you for speaking to that. And I know there are such beautiful poets here that probably have something to add to this conversation of listening deeply and sharing in that.
Thank you so much for bringing almost the academic into this space. Like I don't know, just a lot of what you said I've been thinking about in biological language, and that's kind of like what I was kind of thinking my talk would be about. But I wanted to create more space here. So my question for you is, I'm curious why you think that we are in the age of poetic. Like, why is it needed? Like, how is poetry like the healing impulse that is coming forward at this time where there's so much? Because like, I feel like one could say it's because all these tools are at our disposal, but I feel like in some regards, this cohort or this DSS group, like there's pain that's happening in the world. And I feel like one of the ways that we're making meaning out of it is through poetics and is through storytelling. And it's like almost how we're not, granted, I go crazy too, like in the feelings and in the grief, but like it's how there's like things to kind of be holding on to. So I'd be curious your thoughts on that.
Well, I love how you just answered it. I mean, that's it, right? We are meaning-making beings. This is our humanity, right? And, to talk about sort of where we are in time, right? Like what's the world historical significance, the tools, et cetera. That's relevant because we are at an age where there is much, for all the problems that we have, there is much more freedom, than we've had in previous ages. We are able to connect at scales and scope that would never, ever, ever, ever had the possibility of. And so we're in this moment where the world is in an absolutely terrible state in many ways, but we're connected to a greater degree. We have storytelling tools. We have permission, right? If you are a woman, if you are not white, if you are queer, if you are not fitting the typical hero mode of all the stories that we've seen for generations, you too can be a storyteller. And we are telling each other that, not yet enough, right? We need to do much more work there, but we're in this moment of opening and blossoming, of understanding ourselves as poets in the sense of being storytellers, in the sense of being meaning makers. And because that is the core thing that makes us human, we make meaning, right? We create meaning out of words, out of ideas, out of things. We impose personages on things. We are these beings who find our way in the world. Our filament whiskers are our powers of meaning making. That's how we locate ourselves. And so in this moment, it's the tool of our healing, as you said, right? It's the thing that we reach for. And because we're in this time where there is more, not enough, but more expansive permission for that, we are better able to reach for it and to go to it. The fact that we can sit in this technologically mediated virtual environment and connect with each other. You and I had never met in real life, but we've had conversations that were very deep and rich and that made meaning. And so with each one of these interactions, each one of these, what I would say is poetic interactions. And I loved Mark's contribution around identifying the poetry in all of the interactions that happen here. It's reminding us every step of the way of our fundamental poetic humanity. And it's giving us powers that arguably we've never had at the scale before. And it opens up so much possibility that if we're responsible about it, if we continue to remember our relationship to each other, our positioning with each other, then taking this humaning impulse that we have to be poetic and to make meaning together unlocks just so much extraordinary possibility.
Yeah. I think the other piece of what you had said previously that resonated deeply, or just like that reminder of returning to recognizing your place and like the relationship between the individual within the collective, I think is really, and the responsibility that has, or that you hold in recognizing your place. And I feel like so much of history has been kind of a disconnection.
Absolutely.
Like Western colonial history has been like the disconnection of an individual.
Oh, I mean, so much of it. I mean, on Saturday when Roxy and I were speaking, I spoke a lot about the story of Genesis and the Garden of Eden, which is a story, the way it's been interpreted has been an atomizing story, right? Not a play on Adam, although that's interesting and I should make a note, but atomizing, that it separated us. It said, you are separate from these things. You are separate from each other. And it's a beautiful point to look at that, remaining in connection with each other, reminding ourselves that we are not ever a single sole character in a story. We are all part of many, many characters within a shared story, within a collective story. And that the most powerful thing we can do is co-create and co-author those stories, is co-create meaning together so that we are in that collaborative poetic dynamic and not the isolating one in which we create meaning and then impose it on others. This is the one where we're generative together.
This relationship to the generative, so much of the time now we hear about generative in the terms of AI. And I sometimes wonder if we don't feel a little left out, as if we somehow are not generative. And I guess what you're giving us back is this incredible power to see ourselves in this way. I wonder, also with this idea of the poetopia, if I'm saying correctly, the local NPR station here in New York, they just started inviting people to send in their poetry and read it. And regular local people get to read their poetry. And one of the things that struck me is how whether it's good or bad, technically didn't matter. The profundity of their experience, especially in the light of the pandemic and all of these things. And I wonder if you just can speak at all to like how you see the poetopia bubbling up these days, you know?
Well, I think that's a beautiful example of how it's bubbling up. And it's a beautiful example of how an organization or an entity makes space and gives permission for not just the expression of our poetic selves, but in inviting the expression, it invites us to explore it. And it is, and this goes to Liv's point, right, that when we can explore our poetic selves, it can feel extraordinarily healing because it is tapping into that human impulse, right? The human impulse when we look outside our window and we see a flowering tree, to marvel at the beauty and then describe it to ourselves and then to import some significance to it, is a poetic impulse that it keeps us in touch with our connected selves, right? And so when somebody who perhaps most of their lives thought, I can't write poetry because I am not a poet with a capital P, or I can't write stories because I'm not an author with a capital A, I'm never going to be published. But when someone says, do you have a poem inside you? Everyone can say, yes, I do. And maybe that poem isn't as technically sophisticated as Amanda Gorman's, right? Or maybe that poem is never going to end up in the archives of the Poetry Foundation, but it's an expression of human meaning. And it validates and ennobles us. Any person who has that moment of, oh, I want to be heard, someone wants to hear me, someone is interested in what's on my insides, right? That's the thing that validates us as beings with hearts and spirits. It's being witnessed, right? It's being heard, it's being witnessed, it's being recognized as human. And we've had so many eras of dehumanization. We've had so many eras of dehumanization in our own generation, right? That those moments of rehumanizing, right? Of inviting the human out, of saying, I see you, Ruby, right? That your meditation on our powers prompted a poem in me about a cat and its whiskers, right? That's the generative, collaborative, poetic impulse, is that your meaning making that you are sharing with all of us prompted meaning making in me. And then I share it back. And then we feel noble and witnessed and dignified and human. And we share that out.
I love that. I think Melissa now has a question. So Melissa, would you like to speak? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered about like poetry as a self-reflective tool, and about this era of time of poetry. And I just wondered if you, I just thought of a couple poets like Borges and a book called Labyrinth. And there's a poem in Labyrinth about a person dreaming themselves, by a pool of water, and but in the poem, they discover that they're actually dreaming of themselves, dreaming. And I wonder if that can be at all related to what we're currently experiencing in, the poetic lives. And then also, I wondered if you had thought about Rilke's Duino elegies, and how that is like a kind of a self-reflective journey through a fantastical landscape. And what would be an example of a collaborative mental kind of poem where this metaphor of collaboration would be explored or demonstrated? I don't know if those are too specific or what. But
no, I love those reflections / questions. Apologies for my whiskery cat. Distracted me. A couple of things. One, I think you've hit on a key element of what the power here is, right? Is that it's an invitation. In that invitation to reflect on ourselves and reflect inward, it's an invitation to participate in what we sometimes call the unconscious, right? Or the consciousness of the world, to participate in the world of dreams and visions and inspirations. One of the reasons I think why we get so moved when we are exposed to the poetry of others, especially the, very like expert poetry, the skilled poetry, the Rilkes, right? The Whitmans, the Mary Olivers, the E.E. Cummings, the Plaths, is that we recognize the power in it, the power of the human spirit, right? We can see it. One of the reasons I love poetry is because I see the possibility of that kind of magic, right? Rilke, who you mentioned, is phenomenal in this, both in his poetry and in his writings on poetry. If you've never read the Letters to a Young Poet, it's a beautiful, beautiful reflection on the human relationship to art as this fantastically healing thing, but also fantastically collective thing. But it is, as you say, it's this pathway into these spaces that we tend not to surface, right? It's the push more towards mythos as opposed to logos, right? There's the realm of reason in the mind, which is important, right? It allows us to turn ideas into architectures, right? To create buildings, to create laws and constitutions and all sorts of things that might be a mixed bag, but are nonetheless the product of human reason in action. But human reason doesn't go anywhere unless there is that mythos behind it, unless we're able to access that inspiration, the realm of the imagination. And those dreamscapes, those otherworldly spaces, those sacred experiences that we sometimes have difficulty putting into words because they are so rich, when we can find words or images or sounds. Some of you work just in sound, some of you work in visual, some of you work in form and material, some of us work in a variety of ways, right? However we express the stuff of the spirit of the imagination of the heart, when we do that, we're signaling to each other that it's there, right? Nobody can tell us that it's not real because we've been there. We've experienced it in our dreams or in our meditations or in our journeys. We've experienced it in our sacred and transcendent experiences. And when we remind ourselves of like how extraordinarily vast this is, how, to go back to Liv's point about the biological metaphors we can plumb, how mycelial it is, right? That's when we have this transcendent poetic experience that we only get when we share it. Because when we're isolated, we have the experience of feeling like, was this just me? Was I just tripping? Right? Did I just have a weird dream? Did I just eat too many bananas before bed? No. When we share the transcendent experience, when we witness each other in transcendent experiences and can put it even into the clumsiest of words, right? Me, again, to beat this bush of like the cat and the filaments, right? It's like I'm grappling towards saying that there's something magical about this being. And it was inspired by this woman at the other end of a virtual line on a Zoom. And by sharing that, I'm starting to plumb the possibilities, the transcendent possibilities of that experience by sharing it. So again, it's to your question of like, what are examples? I would love for us to create the examples. What happens if we do collective poetry? What's the poetry train, right? What happens if we just start to poem ourselves into the world together? What are those exquisite corpse, game of telephone type poetic endeavors where we can make meaning in that collaborative way and create our own examples of the co-authored poetopic experience?
Thank you so much. I mean, I know you're talking to the group, but for me, it illuminated something really important because I used to write a lot. I've been writing some recently, and I haven't really been sharing it. I used to write journals for years and then I had an entire collection and it got lost. Like literally I was moving the box, like, shoop. But I'm really inspired again because when you said that those experiences are real, even if they're in your imagination, or if they are real experiences, it's okay to relay that information regardless of how comfortable or how you feel.
It's a gift to relay it. Sorry to interrupt you. It's a gift to relay it. All of those stories, every bit of poetry that you've ever written, Melissa, still lives inside of you, right? And sharing it in any form is a gift because it gives others permission to share theirs. Every baby step we take forward and say, can I share this reflection that I had about the flowers outside my window or my cat's whiskers or the banana that I ate before bed last night, is an invitation to others to step into the transcendent or the absurd, into the human, and make meaning with you. So it's a gift when you do it. So please do it.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm so it's validated. I was like thinking about a poem just before I got the message, like, oh, this is starting, and I was like, oh, I better go. And yeah, I'll definitely share the writings that I have stored away. But thank you so much. Oh.
You're welcome.
That's wonderful. So John, is it John? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you're on with your question.
I mean, I think that just that interaction kind of answered what I was going to ask of sorts, but maybe I can add a little bit to the poetic reflection. When you were initially talking about topography and topia, I immediately imagined the weave and these places of meaning, or the intersections between the nodes of the network or the topography. They have a gravity, and the gravity is the whiskers. The whiskers are these strands of imagination, that an extension, a superpower that we all have, but we may not know the metaphors that are appropriate. We all come with different metaphors, but the gravity is shared. This unseen draw, this call for us to continue an event in this place, and to know that the place is strange, that we have unique, parts to weave, that the strands that are shared, that are knots of meaning. They come in all different colors and flavors, like you're extrapolating on before. But I was thinking about gravity and gravitas, and how it intersected with topography, and how we are the embodiment of nature, and these metaphors are embodiments and reflections of ourselves. But I just want to thank you for being here. This is great.
Oh my gosh, John. I mean, you just spoke a poem right there. So thank you. That was a beautiful piece of poetry. Every word that you strung together, that the reflection of gravity, the relationship of gravity to topography in the tending and navigating of meaning, is a poetic exploration in itself. And I love that you connected with this idea of nodes and networks. Again, it's mycelial, and the points of connection, the points where the filaments connect, right? If we imagine our poetic whiskers as sort of filaments of meaning, where we can sense each other in our space, right? Where are we in relationship to the nodes? That poetic development is what facilitates exactly this, right? This is, of course, a poetic conversation, because the poetry emerges, as I said to Mark, the poetry emerges organically when we're feeling like, yes, I have permission to reflect in whatever way feels right, right? That's where we get those poetry trains, where if we could keep going, which we won't, Roxy, you'll have to check on the time, because I can't keep going.
And that permission isn't obligatory, though. Right? This is the call that we get to answer, that we get to participate in.
And the participation itself is permission, right? And I harp on permission, and think of this as a permission engine, right? That we have been told for so long that we did not have permission, right? That storytelling and poetry and myth making and fables and folklore and sacred texts were only the domain of a certain very small elite subset of expert humans. To be reminded now that we all have that power, we all have those whiskers, and we all have permission. We have to keep giving ourselves permission, because there's so many forces that don't want us to have that permission, right? Not because anybody's actively organizing against it, but because it yields so much energy, because it yields so many ideas. It's because it yields radical movements, right? And so the more we give ourselves permission, and that's why I said to Melissa, it's like the more you share your story, the more it's a gift because you're giving permission to others. And then you came onto the screen, John, and you gave permission to others by just being poetic in your reflection on gravity and grace, right? In the context of nodes and topographies of meaning. So as we keep doing it, we create the train, right? And we create the energy and we sustain it. And then we can go off and apply it in whatever mode or node feels most powerful to us. Thank you.
So, John, are you complete? All right. We do have a few extra minutes. So is it okay if I ask a question? Because, I've been waiting, and there are a few things that came up to me. One is that, over the last several years and decades, right, we've had a lot of philosophers, especially a lot of male philosophers, who've done a lot of the reductive breakdown of this period, right? And they've given us the biological underpinnings and the straight line to, let's say, mimetics and all of these things, right? I feel, now I'm willing to be wrong here, but I feel like what you're giving us with the Poetopia is the sort of motherverse of all of this. It's the absolute synthesis of all these previously reduced parts. And I see you nodding. So
I love that. I feel like you're opening up this extraordinary, beautiful can of worms. Roxy knows that I can go on at length about the feminine in all of this. I think it absolutely is, in many respects, the motherverse. If we're willing to conscientiously sort of degender mother a little bit and allow it to be a human mother, right? It's very, very important to acknowledge the ways that the feminine has been marginalized or outright erased in many of these stories. But it's also important to recognize that this is a human impulse, that we all have the capacity to mother in the sense that you're describing it, right? And so when I spoke the other day, when Roxy and I had our chat about the Garden of Eden and of Eve, right? And then connecting Eve to Demeter and to Inanna and to Isis and to all these other female figures, these mythic characters who were mothers of invention and creation, right? And the thing that you're pointing to that I think is very powerful is that it's not separating invention from the organic, from the world. It's putting it in this creative context of these are things that we birth, right? These are things that we pull from ourselves and from our collective human self that we birth together. They're not things that we create out of thin air, right? They're not things that make us gods or goddesses. They are the things that make us human. They are the things that make us organic creatures in a shared universe, or spiritual creatures in a shared consciousness. But it is something that I think we can say there is a birthing impulse. There is a generative creative impulse that is core to that idea of bringing forth in poetry, in poesis, right? That it's a revealing. It's not something that we can own. It is not something that we can claim to have originated in the truest sense. Because like that tree that has all the possibility of the wooden chair, all we're doing is revealing possibility, all the possibility if we believe that the realm of the imagination is part of a vast collective universal pool of inspiration. Then what we're birthing, our birthing process, this motherverse, is a kind of revealing process. We are making real which had just been possible, right? And we're identifying it, we're seeing it. And the first step of this is to see and to imagine and to pull, and then go through this process of like, how do we birth together, right? How do we collectively reveal? How do we collectively bring forth all the possibility that is already imminent in all of the things that are around us? And so I love the framing. And I do, whenever I talk about the feminine in the sense of I want to be careful about not having it feel like we are saying this is a domain that is exclusive or even sort of dominated by one form of human. It's something that we all share. It is something that we have ignored, in part because it's associated with one half of humanity. But recognizing that that mothering impulse is a nurturing and revealing and an impulse to bring forth that we all share and we can all participate in, then 1,000%. I love that.
And so thank you, because that was incredible. And I will turn it over to Strupi in just a second. But one thing I'll say that I did recently learn is that, let's say in the Vedic context, everything that's manifest on earth or in the universe is inherently feminine, whether it be masculine or feminine, in that most grandiose version, right? So I really do appreciate that deep wisdom that you just reminded us of, because that again speaks to why we love having you here, because there is this incredible generosity that you bring in this wisdom. So now I'd love to turn it over to Strupi so we can put you two into a little conversation, and then that'll be our last question for the session. So Strupi.
Thank you. We actually had the pleasure of jumping into the quick sessions, the meeting a minute ago, which was just beautiful. And you know, you've spoken so much from my heart here. It's like all those, you know, strings of resonance have been plucked. And rather than speaking too many words again, as I tend to, I'd like to draw this out, because, you know, poetry can also take shape. And here is where our new way of speaking, of being whole and being sphere, resonates so much with what you just spoke of, the motherverse, because we've been calling this shape that is the very key to what Bucky has, you know, opened to us as a kind of understanding that goes to the heart of the matter. He called this the vector equilibrium, but we call it the mother of all spheres. You know, and the mother of all spheres, as she grows, what appears within the membrane of herself is a womb with a seed, and the seed may take off one by one, little pluck, and the filaments detach, and off goes that little dandelion and meets another cat somewhere to settle down and take a root and grow another poetry or something. But that membrane we've just been detached from isn't that. Instead it dances, and it dances with the Tao. It is the very heart of all, you know. It is the the falling and returning and getting back up, and, you know, being gentle with one another, and transforming all, ever, forever. It's like no need to hold tense, hold pressure, let go of it, you know, and just take off and grow wherever we need to be, you know.
I love everything about what you just shared, from the movement of your hands to the shadows behind you, to the play of light and shadow, to the falling object, to the whole of it, because it is, again, that being gentle, the softening of our gaze, to use Rosie's term, to hold things lightly, right? I was struck by how lightly you were holding, and like the movement felt gentle and yet still powerful, right? It's like that whole, the tensile relationship is one that is so powerful because it accommodates so much movement. We can stay connected even as we pull at each other and from each other. And we can cast shadow, and we can reflect light, and we can be at play with all of the things together. Because again, you can create a womb in that shape. I can create a womb in the shape of my hand. Ruby can create a womb in the shape of an idea. And you can cast the shadow of a womb on the wall behind you. We can cast our imaginations and think, is the heart also the shape of a womb? What if the womb were a triangle? What if the womb were a mycelial network? What if the womb was immanent in the filaments of the whiskers of meaning in the cats? What if it were something completely absurd, right? It's that playfulness, right? And even like watching you, in your miraculous little space, I was thinking about not just that gentleness, but that playfulness, the way that children, especially very small children, hold both this intention and tension in how they play, but also this gentleness in how they play. All things are possible. They don't care if a thing breaks. It's just an opportunity to piece things back together. It's an opportunity to share with each other and to create something new. And so there's something in our Poetopia, right? It's a playground. It's a space of creativity. It's a mother-versal poetopic playground in which we get to imagine together and then create in relationship and reflect on the things that we create in relationship and be generative in that way, which was in many respects a hodgepodge of words. But when you said Strupius, like, I'll try not to be wordy, I'm like, oh, friend, I'm the wordiest person ever, which is why I'm dangerous to have on these things. But I love it because we get to be absurdly, gently, curiously, poetopically playful together. And I'm so grateful for having had the invitation.
Always playing by heart.
Playing by heart. Yes.
Playing by heart. Well, there you go. That's all of our time. I know, Catherine, that we wish we could keep you for hours. And so if you want to keep up with Catherine's work, you can follow her on Twitter, you can visit her website. And I do hope that we'll get to see you again really soon here. It has just truly been a consistently enlightening experience for all of us. And we do have a Topia World that I've put in the chat as well, where you can go and experience some of the regenerative poetry being made in this community. And it's the Multiverse Poetry Topia. So please do stay tuned, because we may find ways to do some more generative poetry together in the multiverse over in Topia. But again, Catherine, I am so grateful because you've given us language today, and that language has been incredibly expansive for all of us.
Oh, I'm so glad. It's inspired by all of you. So this was itself a co-creative, co-authored generative process. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, so Roxy, I think we're turning it over to you now. Wow.
Yeah, there were so many moments there where I was like, oh wait, did Catherine leave already? That was so fast. Where'd she go?
It was so fast.
Oh, Catherine. Oh, she's back. Oh, good.
I'm still here.
Okay. I was just gonna say, like, there are so many moments where I wanted to say something, and it is so nice to also be handing the reins over more and more to just the community to drive the ship, and just to like bask in everyone's brilliance and all of the like synergies that are emerging, and just being and listening, and this emergence of this poetopic focus. And I hope that watering this seed for you encourages that website to come to life, and maybe there's a way that we can be a contribution to
yes, please.
Poetopia.
Yeah, I said to Roxy after our last conversation, I've been playing with Poetopia for some time, and at one point I've been like, oh, I'm going to create a community platform on top of it on poetopia.com. And so maybe you have rewatered those seeds. It certainly it reawakened or re-revealed a passion that I had simmering for a little while.
Well, I think you have some cooperators standing by.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for coming. And
Thank you.
I hope that I'm so excited for more weaving, and we still have five 5 more days. What is this? 27, 28, 29, 30, 5 more days of this wild, wild west.
Frontier.
Huh?
It's a frontier.
It's a frontier. It is a frontier. Someone yesterday was saying it was that feeling of being just above the clouds. Like you kind of just get right above it and you're like, oh, like perspective, you know? So there's no, it's not happen chance that our, main kind of guiding image has been the like floating. So it's just above the clouds, we're still in the clouds. We still see the clouds, but we're able to like get a little bit of collective perspective on what's possible when we engage in poetopic, collaborative community. And I really appreciate what you said about the shift that's alive in culture, with people understanding that it's not the role of the few anymore. That the privilege to be creative, to kind of be inside of the myth in this co-creative process. And so I'm just excited that we get to live that and encourage more people to do it and give them the tools, which you have so graciously done for us in this community, and so much more. So I'm excited. Such an honor, and thanks for coming. I'm going to share a little bit about something that is launching tomorrow now, and then we'll have Calypso is going to do a meditation. So I will start by saying that what is launching is I'm going to try something new. I normally have my extra screen on the side. It's all an illusion, but I'm going to put it in front of me. So see how that goes. Cool. So coming back to today's theme, restoration and capital transfer, we are launching our very first NFT drop tomorrow, which is interesting. I will say that it has been an incredibly controversial and fascinating space to be creators for regenerative futures, trying to navigate this world of NFTs and Web3 and blockchain technologies. And we had 2 different NFT segments with Nikki Selkin. One, just assessing the art historical moment that we're in. And 2, we had another one that was focused on, you had 2 options. You could either go into a room and listen to Lynn Twist talk about the shift from scarcity to sufficiency and the soul of money, or stay in the main room and learn how to do it, learn how to mint something on the most sustainable chain, that kind of one of the most sustainable chains that existed, and also it was a Tezos, which I think was also created by primarily minority group of artists. And it's ironic that this thing is launching tomorrow, because today is the day about restoration and capital transfer. And I think one of the things that came up the most during the course of the time with looking into NFTs and the space that we're in is thinking about how the I think one of the problematic things about the NFT space has been that it is perpetuating more hyper-tokenization of everything. And so when we're thinking about capital and we're thinking about forms of capital and what are we perpetuating with the types of things that we're encouraging, that was definitely a big part of the conversation. And another big part of the conversation was about CO2 emissions. And another big part of the conversation was about the capital transfer, looking at what are the opportunities to shift power to the marginalized, to the fringes, to shift wealth to the creators, and what are the issues and what has been coming up. And amidst all of this platform called Doing Good invited Gray Area to do a series of pieces of art for this drop. And Gray Area said, what is the focus? The focus is the 17 SDGs. And so as our partners, they said, okay, how about we just bring in Design Science Studio to do that? And over the course of, we had like 10 days to put it together, and then they kept dragging it out like 2.5 months until we're finally launching it tomorrow. But I wanted to just presence, because we're going to do like a deeper dive tomorrow and kind of show the work and bring some of the artists who are available to share about what they created. But I will say that, you know, in the process of navigating a rapidly changing world, collective sense making is a gift, and it's not a gift that we often get to do together. And so we had created a little side chatter that got pretty heated. There was definitely some divisive experiences and conversations that happen just around like strong polarities and understanding that like the reality of the global south is very different from the global north, which is important to think about in conversations around regeneration and privilege, and some of the problematic parts of the space. And so I mentioned all of this to say, we're definitely thinking about it. It's not news that it's not perfect, but this is the era, basically the beeper in the face of, you know, the cell phone when it comes to some of this technology, and trying to know that, knowing that a lot of it is really focused on creators, artists, designers, and looking at how we might create artifacts. And those artifacts have the opportunity to, you know, store a lot of information that can potentially have trickle-down positive effects for the long term that are more transparent. And so we decided to participate. The platform itself is using Polygon, and so I wanted to bring this up because one transaction is slightly less than one smartphone charge, a crazy amount less than one Bitcoin transaction, or Ethereum transaction. So it's built on proof of stake. It's one of the most responsible technologies and compatible blockchains that are out there right now. And they partnered with various social impact organizations that are promoting a variety of social impact causes for climate. And so we were invited, and I'm going to just show a little bit of what some of the artists created. Fun fact, I definitely made a piece of art for it, and then in the process of focusing on everyone else, I never submitted it, which is hilarious, but all the other ones are in here. And so it's called Term Perceptions, and it's an exhibition presented by the Design Science Studio in Gray Area. Each of these artworks explore and perceives a regenerative future that works for all life. And the work is drawn from an international community of artists who are exploring themes ranging from environmental healing to architectural innovation. The medium of the collection pushes boundaries as well, from generative art responding to planetary time to indigenous perceptions of the natural environment expressed within a 3D world. And it is a collection of creators using art to cultivate new forms and practices of planetary cognition. A portion of the proceeds go to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal #2 of Zero Hunger. And it was curated by me with Nikki Selkin, with a lot of support from Chris Weir. And primarily Nikki did most of the heavy lifting when it came to basically everything. And I helped curate a lot of the artists and wrangle everybody, and a lot of really beautiful work was made in a short amount of time. So we're actually in the process of installing it in New Art City. We're gonna do a bigger walkthrough together. And here it goes. In 14 hours, it will hit the world. So I can show you a few little things that are going to be within it. And yeah, we'll do a deeper dive. I think this piece is particularly awesome. This also is an augmented reality piece that has made its way into a larger series of installations that draws from inspiration from a living deity, Hina of the coral reef, goddess of corals and spiny creatures of the ocean. And this is a piece by, I don't know, I just forgot her name because she's a dear friend, but we'll come back to me in a second. So, okay, so I'll show you more. This is from Noor Tome, and this piece she created it quite some time ago, and it's so beautiful. It's the first time she's ever made an NFT. Noor is a Lebanese artist and activist and vegan and earth lover. She drew and a lot of the pieces that are inside of Artopia worlds as well. And so definitely encourage checking her work out in general because she's amazing. There's so much more, and I will do a few more pieces just so you can see a little bit more of what's coming. This is called, ironically, The Revolution Will Be Monetized. As a play on space and NFTs and done machine learning. One of the first explorations by we use the medium to make fun of itself. I think it's also, you know, there's a lot of potential. We really believe in how we can shift culture to support creators being resourced, doing that in the most ethical way. So those are just a few of the previews, but we'll do a longer session tomorrow. We'll walk through a lot more of the work. If you were here this morning, then you saw Harmonize, which is an incredible piece by Future Primitive and Turquoise, and Benjamin Life and Sherry Herndon. Yeah, so much more. Really excited that this is going to be released and has been kind of many moons in the making and has been waiting to kind of make its way into the world. So yeah, I will say personally, it's been you know, it's a important thing to be mindful and not in a hurry to step into a new space just because there's money. And we've been doing our best at the Design Science Studio to do this with care. And we know that the space is not perfect, and we know that we are doing our best to say yes to something and also be transparent about the fact that it's an evolution, and also really excited about all the artwork that has been made, and hopeful for some of the edges of this medium, especially what blockchain technology seems to be able to do for collective governance and some things like that. But yeah, just want to honor all the artists who created this work, and looking forward to a much longer session where we can look at each of the pieces tomorrow and go through an exploration. So with that, if you are new to the space, we are the Design Science Studio, an educational incubator for the art of the Regenaissance, and we empower global creators to imagine this regenerative future, igniting conversation, poetopias, action, inspiration to support a world that works for 100% of them. So I am really excited that we have been able to come together in this critical time in history, as we are restoring our relationships with ourselves, each other, and the more than human world. And we are looking at all the forms of capital when we think about capital transfer, and not just financial capital. We've scrutinized and really looked at what is the root of capitalism today. We've talked about many new forms of governance. We have explored the work of many artists who are piecing apart the poetry of life and of synergetics, and how we make sense of the world in a way that is more integrated with our connections and our impact, and also with nature. We have felt into the potential of this collaborative creative community, and there's 5 more days, yay. So we have launched a campaign for the course of this launch week for the Salon, for this summit. And I will pause here, but I will put the link in the chat for the opportunity to give and support the work that we do, because it is very important to be able to support and uplift so many more creators. And really looking forward to many more days together. And also want to just share a lot of gratitude for the Vision Train, who are our partners and collaborators and friends who have also welcomed us aboard their train station so that we can dock for Regenaissance Rising. So excited for what we're doing together. And I'm super, super thrilled to introduce Calypso now, who has prepared a meditation to ground us into, and I think will hopefully integrate so much of what has come through today. So I really am so happy we were able to reschedule this, Calypso, and that you were able to come on in today, because you have so many brilliant offerings that you're creating over the course of the summit. And as one of the revolutionary artists of the Design Science Studio, I have just been really excited to find different opportunities to showcase your work. And today is the day. So for those of you who don't know Calypso, she is a muse, a magician, a dancer, an artist who is deeply in love with life, honoring the sacred and the beauty of life and every being in it, celebrating life through dance, creativity, and art. Sapiosexual, turned on by self-responsibility and authenticity, Calypso is going to bring us into an astral meditation journey. Thank you, Calypso.
Thank you. Could you just tell me real quick if you can hear me like that?
I can hear you, yep.
Okay, perfect, cool. Yeah, thank you so much. I've actually had like a super crazy day, so I'm also looking forward to drop into that meditative space with you all. Yeah, I do feel that for me, meditation, and especially traveling into the astral with dream work or through meditation or through other trance-based practices, has brought me a lot into a space of connection with myself, but through that also with others, with the earth, with pretty much any being and any spirit that we could imagine and more. And so yeah, I started to develop this meditation just because I've had a lot of benefit from working in those realms. And yeah, I feel that the more we connect with those other realms and those other energies, the more we can understand that we're part of something so vast and so unimaginably big, and it brings a lot of humility. And I feel that humility is definitely going to be very important for humanity going forward, because a lot of the things that aren't working so well are, I believe, caused by our hubris and our disconnection from everything around us and ourselves. So yeah, that being said, I think we can get started. So find a place where you're comfortable. It's the best if you sit upright so that your spine is straight. You can put a cushion under your seating bone to make yourself a bit more comfortable. I'm just going to turn my phone on do not disturb because it's vibrating. And we're going to be in this meditation for about half an hour. So if you need to go to the bathroom, do it now. But yeah, once you're comfortable, you can start closing your eyes and start to connect with your breath. We're going to spend some time just really dropping in with our breathing. Notice the sensation of the inhale. The air entering through your nostrils into your lungs. Really filling up your body with energy. And the sensation of the exhale. Energy leaving your body feeling of relaxation, releasing of tension. Just continue to connect with your breath in and out. Our breath is a beautiful bridge between our conscious awareness and our subconscious. It's something that we can control and do consciously, and it's also something that happens without us spending a single thought on it. This is why it's such a powerful bridge for us to drop into a meditative or trance state. In your own tempo, just continue to deepen your breath, really feeling your lungs expanding as you inhale, and your body relaxing as you exhale. As you continue to breathe deeply and calmly, start to bring your awareness to your hearing. Without visual stimulation, we can really sharpen our sense of hearing and create an auditory soundscape. Really use your hearing to map everything that is going on around you. Become aware of all the sounds that you can perceive. There's birds chirping outside, there's insects, maybe crickets, wind rustling in the leaves, maybe there's traffic, maybe there's people speaking, maybe there's music. Just really try to zoom in onto all those different sounds and create this visual image in your mind of those different sounds and travel through them. At any given moment in time, our world is a perfect symphony of sounds. Some of them might seem unpleasant at first, but if you really surrender to those sounds, you start to understand that there's a harmony even in what seems to be disharmonic. Continue to breathe and bring your awareness into your body. Feel your seat bones on the ground or on the cushion that you're sitting on. Really zoom in your attention to the sensation of your body connecting to the floor. Start to imagine and really focus on your energetic body extending roots into the floor that you're sitting on. Grow those roots slowly, inch by inch, deeper and deeper to the floor of the building that you're in, through layers of dirt, through mud, through rocks and pebbles, through layers of minerals, earth, deeper and deeper into the ground. Travel alongside your roots as you go deeper and deeper and deeper. The deeper you go, the more you start to perceive heat. Continue traveling further into the earth towards that heat. until you reach the center of the earth. Raw, red, hot, liquid. The center of this beautiful planet that we live on. Allow your roots to dock onto this ball of red, hot, glowing lava that is swirling around. Start to drink this energy, this pure life force. Allow it to travel up your roots, sip by sip. Take in more of this pure, powerful energy and drink it up your roots. For layers and layers of earth, dirt, minerals, rocks, till it reaches the floor of your building and your body. Feel that energy spread out in your root center. Feel that strong connection through your roots, firmly planted into the ground, drinking up that energy, fueling you, charging you up. You always have access to this. You can always go here. This energy is endless, limitless, always there for you. Start to travel up your spine into your pelvis. Start to swirl that beautiful orange liquid that is spiraling within you. Your sexual energy lives here. Your connection to your power. Your connection to other people. Keep spiraling in that liquid, almost getting lost in the swirl. And just allow it to charge you. Allow that energy to be free. As you keep spiraling, observe two serpentine shapes rising from that orange liquid and wind around your spine. Travel up that spiraling motion alongside your spine, coating your spine, that red and orange energy. As you travel up to your solar plexus, center above your navel, and bask in the light, this beautiful, glowing, bright yellow sun that is shining inside of you. Your willpower, your creative life force, your soul fire. There is limitless potential here, limitless energy. Anything can be created from that power. Know that you can feed your soul fire with your joy. When you follow your joy, you follow your passion, you follow that which lights you up. You're feeding this beautiful glowing sun, making it shine brighter and bring more life to anything it touches. Allow that energy, this beautiful, bright yellow light, to travel up, mixing with the other two energies, spiraling up your spine. To your heart space, the center of your chest. A beautiful, lush, green jungle in the center of your chest. Trees, plants, vines, winding around each other, growing, crawling. So much life, so much love lives here. This jungle in your chest is limitless. You can encompass the whole world, the whole universe within your heart. Unconditional love lives here. Compassion, forgiveness. The more you allow this place to expand, the more capacity it has to love. Trust that your heart always knows the way. Allow your heart to embrace you, everyone you know, everyone you don't know. Watch that place grow. That energy continue to spiral up your spine into your throat. Beautiful blue waves of frequency. Your power to manifest, to speak, to express yourself lives here. The world wants to hear your voice. The world wants you to be a part of that beautiful symphony. Allow yourself to be heard. Allow yourself to join in. The world needs your music. Take one deep inhale. And on the exhale, hum. This vibration coming from your throat is how you can connect to everything around you. Everything else is vibration. Allow yourself to become part of this harmony. Keep traveling up into your head, to your forehead, to your third eye. And just allow yourself to be shown what that eye sees. This will be different for all of us. Just be open and receptive to what wants to be shown to you. The next inhale, really breathe in that information that you just received and anchor it in your system. Your next exhale, say thank you. You can always go here. We're able to see and understand so much more than we think. We just have to allow ourselves to be still, to be open, to receive. Keep traveling up to the top of your head, your crown, to that bright pillar of light that's going from the top of your head infinitely into the universe. Start to travel up that column of light until you can look down upon yourself sitting on the ground. Keep traveling up till you can look down on the house or the building that you're in. Up, up, further till you can see the city lights, the city that you're in, the country that you're in, till you can see the continent you're on, the oceans. Keep traveling up through the clouds, through the atmosphere, further to space, a vast space that we call our universe. Keep traveling up that column of light until our earth, our home, is a tiny blue dot hanging in space. Pause here for a moment. Take that in. This beautiful small dot is our home. Everyone you know, everyone you love, everyone you've shared a beautiful experience with, everyone you've had a disagreement with, lives on this planet. Every second, a baby is born, starting a new cycle of life on this planet. Every second, human passes, ending that cycle of life on this planet. Think of all the fathers, all the mothers that have given life on this planet, that have created a little human being and raised it. Think of all the joy that has been felt on this planet, all the laughter that has been shared, all the beauty that has been perceived. Think of all the sadness, all the tears that have been cried, all the cries of despair, all the suffering that has been felt, all the blood that has been needlessly shed. We are being gifted a rich human experience that contains all of this. It contains birth and death, joy and suffering, love and hate. And all of this is passing in a mere second. This larger symphony that is being played out in this universe. Our life, each of our lives, is a blink of an eye. The vastness, the universal experience. Feel the gratitude for this experience that you get to live, and the humility of knowing that it's just a moment, momentarily blink of an eye. If you have an intention, a wish, a prayer, anything that you would like to speak to this universal life force, this universal power, you can do so right now. You can speak it in your head. You can imagine writing it down. Leave this wish, this prayer, this expression of gratitude out here in this vast space. With an offering of your energy, something that's precious to you. Leave it here without any expectations, but with all the hope in the world. With gratitude, start to travel down that column of light again. Feeling the pull of the earth draw you closer and closer as you spiral down back towards our beautiful blue planet, our mother, our home. She's always inviting us, always taking care of us, always holding us. She's inviting you back home. Spiral down through the atmosphere, through the clouds, till you start to see the oceans, continent, country you came from, till you reach your city, the road that you're in, the building that you're in. You can look down to your own body again. Rest here for one more moment. With the next inhale, breathe your spirit into your body again. Seal the crown of your head with bright white light. Knowing you can always connect to that universal infinity, can always be held, rooted firmly into the earth, connected to the universe, your body a vessel in between. Allow your consciousness to travel down from your crown through your third eye, giving gratitude to that ability to see, through your throat, giving gratitude for that ability to speak, through your heart, giving gratitude to your capacity to love, through your solar plexus, giving gratitude to your willpower, through your pelvis, giving gratitude to your sexual and sensual power, into your roots, giving gratitude to that life force and that groundedness. Take one more sip through your roots. Start to slowly retract them from the center of the earth. Pulling up, up, the layers of rocks, dirt, minerals, through the floor that you're sitting on, back into your body, sealing your roots, bright white light, knowing you can always come back here. Take a few more deep breaths, feeling all that energy in your body, feeling it swirl around within you, feeling that serpentine energy covering your spine, spiraling up and down, charging you up. Feel that power that resides within you. Feel that gratitude for this beautiful experience that we get to live. Feel that love for yourself and for every being on this beautiful planet. Feel that love for this beautiful planet. Feel that humility of knowing that we are all part of something bigger. Thank your body for carrying you, for allowing you to dance, to walk, to run, to build things with your hands, to touch, to feel, to see, to sing, to create, to connect with one another. Thank your body for being so resilient. One hand on your heart, and one hand on your belly. We're going to take 3 breaths. Deep breath into the heart. And exhale through your mouth. Deep breath into your belly. And exhale. Deep breath into your womb, your groin. And exhale. Thank you. You're beautiful. And I love you. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Ground yourself back in this space. Thank you all for going on this journey with me.
Thank you so much, Calypso. That was transcendental. Nice to connect with the serpentine energy. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
I'm often at a loss for words after such a journey.
Yeah, me too. It's one of the only meditations that I can guide where I can actually fully go into it as well, which is super nice because I feel it kind of connects me more with the people that I'm doing it with. But yeah, also after that I was a bit spaced out.
Yeah, I mean, people responding in the chat, wow. Thank you, I really connected. Such a pleasure. And we'll share in the chat where people can also find your work. I have it right here.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to have another journey with you.
Oh yeah, so the Instagram that you just put, the one with the first one is the one where I'm active. The other one got banned by Instagram, so can't access that anymore.
The best ones get banned.
Yeah, I was gonna say somehow I always feel it's like the stamp of approval when you get banned by Instagram. It's like, well, yeah, I've been doing it right. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good for you, and thank you again so much. We have up next a beautiful track from Wahinya to help us land and connect with the earth and grounding yourself to the rhythms of humanity. Wahinya is a composer, a poet, and record producer from Nairobi, Kenya, and his music narrates tales rarely spoken that transcend one into a world of insight and serenity. And Wahinya says about this track, in a world where all struggle in surviving, it's sometimes nice to stop and look at the sky. Join Riki by grounding yourself to the rhythms of humanity.
Oops, you're muted.
Pardon me. Beautiful track, Wahinia. Thank you so much for sharing, brother. Such a beautiful ambient, yeah, beautiful way to land after that journey with Calypso. Nice timing, guys. That was a good pick. Yeah. And up next, we have an even more special offering in store for us. K-Love is an indie musician from Southern California and a recent college graduate seeking to expand her community of passionate innovators and explore the intersections of music and world building. My friend Selena's daughter, K-Love, so excited to have you join us and to hear you today. You're muted, just so you know.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, my name is Kayla, but I go by K-Love. That's Klove. And I'm really excited to be sharing some of my music with you guys today. Kind of, relaxing at the end of the day, getting some good energy up in here. So, yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and start with a song and go from there.
Awesome.
I'll try to keep an eye on the chat in case something sounds off, but sound check went well. So I hope that everybody can hear me. Yeah.
Hey, welcome. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here. So I think I'm going to start off with one of the oldest songs I've written and a song that I've recently come back to shine a spotlight on. And it's called Strawberry Dreams. So it goes like this. That was the pink, I classify this as the blushing era. Discovering ourselves, the world around us. Life is hard, but we try together. And I wouldn't want to try with any other. There's a lot of things that I probably could say, but it come out the wrong way. I just can't relate my feelings, keep it all in, but I know that you understand where I'm coming from. We have the world in our hands. Tell me all about your strawberry dreams. Hope things work out the way that you need. Can you really get high enough to fly free? 4 years the clouds were so close to me. Tell me all about your strawberry dream. Hope things work out the way that you need. Can you really get high enough to fly free? 4 years the clouds were so close to me. How different life would be if we chose to see everything in purple instead of green. I've got this time to think, and people I got to meet for turning me into the person that I'm learning to be. I take a second, reflect on the way that we just happen to exist in the same day and age. Isn't it amazing? I'm awfully lucky to have people who exist on the same wavelengths. So tell me all about your strawberry dreams. Hope things work out the way that you need. Can you really get high enough to fly free? 4 years the clouds were so close to me. Tell me all about your strawberry dreams. Hope things work out the way that you need. Can you get high enough to fly free? It's very special, also uncoincidental. People are rare, I don't like to let go, but I've got no choice anymore. So proud of my boys, so proud of my girls. And graduation comes too fast, stepping into new romance, leaving the place, moving up, moving on. So sweet the way the taste will be gone, so sweet the way it makes us all strong. Tell me all about your strawberry dream. Hope things work out the way that you need. Can you really get high enough to fly free? 4 years, the clouds are so close to me. You tell me all about your strawberry dream. Thank you. Yeah, so that was Strawberry Dream. I wrote that all the way in 2016 while I was in high school, but a lot of my friends were graduating, and it, you know, I was going through the emotions of like, oh my God, everything's changing. And now I've recently graduated college, and a lot of those same feelings are still really relevant. And so I've been going back through my music, and it's really just interesting to see how different everything is, but how some things are still like so similar. Yeah, so that was Strawberry Dream. And I actually just shared a lyric video with the collage art that I made for the song, and that's all over my social media. So I can go ahead and share that with you guys if you'd like later on. And this next one is called Give Me What I Want. I also wrote this one a little bit ago, and this one's a little less on a personal level, more on a collective level, kind of about the way the media portrays things, or how the truth is sometimes a difficult thing to get at. Yeah, so this is called Give Me What I Want.
Hey, Kayla. I want to have you try something, because I think that the way that you play this song might have it's affecting the background noise cancellation. So it's like kind of cutting out your guitar. So if you go down to the bottom left-hand corner, that little carrot top menu button,
oh,
like a little menu.
yeah.
And then that's going to pop open a white settings box. And if you scroll down to the suppress background noise and put that on low, that's the best that we can do for that.
Okay.
And then also right below that, click for high fidelity music mode.
Okay.
You don't want the echo insulation on.
Okay. So I've just got the high fidelity selected, and we're on low. So
beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much. Please try again. Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you. I want to make sure, you know, it sounds as good as it can. All right. It takes too much time to sift through the mud. I don't care who he kissed, I don't care who he loves. And some people want it all, they get lost in their own eyes. only here for our views. And now they're giving me what I want, and not what I need. So don't give me what I want, give me what I need. And shut up about her shoes, tell me something new. 'Cause you know what's important, I just get too hung up on you. And now they're giving me what I want, and not what I need. So don't give me what I want, give me what I need. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, so that one was called Give Me What I Want. I actually played it with a band for a short time, and that was really cool, but more on my solo art right now, so I think that's still a really fun one to play. And I'd like to play a song for you guys that I've been working on recording and mixing on my computer. It's not out yet, but it will be soon, so that's really exciting to look forward to. And this one is called After the Funeral, and it's kind of a lot of the same themes that I was feeling with Strawberry Dreams, but a little, I wouldn't say darker, but maybe a little more serious. Just kind of feeling like, wow, I'm really entering into a new phase. Just new, figuring things out, feeling weird. That's basically what this song is about. So I'm sure there's something in here that everybody can relate to. Yeah, so this one's called After the Funeral. Feel like a horse right after it's born. I feel like I'm caught up on the surgery floor, and like I just woke up 'cause the drugs didn't work. I'm wide high and emotional. I wanna go home. I don't wanna claw till my fingernails fall off, bursting from the skin of the machine I was born in. 1,000 fingertips pressing, shoving against tied to the ground, but trying to stand out. It's a puzzle that we're all just trying to solve, and it's made up of people, so I'm just holding on. I'm gonna stay quiet, get lost in the folds. I'll be standing in a room, but no one will know. I feel like a horse right after it's born. I feel like I'm cut up on the surgery floor, and like I just woke up 'cause the drugs didn't work. Wide eyed and emotional, I wanna go home. I lost all my long-term goals, and I don't know what I used to before. I need a burned down house in the desert, 200 square feet, a joint and some records. Get away from the vicious cycles, fake friendliness and kisses from psychos. New glasses, I think they're pretty cool. I found them after the funeral. Now I feel like a horse right after it's torn. I feel like I'm caught up on the surgery floor, and like I just woke up 'cause the drugs didn't work. Wide-eyed and emotional, I wanna go home. I feel like a horse right after it's born. I feel like I'm caught up on the surgery floor, like I just woke up 'cause the drugs didn't work. Wide-eyed and emotional, I wanna go home. Wanna go home. I wanna go home. I wanna go home. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like. That one was a little bit different.
I love it. It's like you the way that you play and sing has this kind of like nostalgia for me, something about it that feels very familiar. Like I've heard that song before.
Yeah.
The last few, I know you've only played 3, but like the last 2, it felt like they were songs that I know already, so yeah, you're doing something right.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that makes me feel really good. Thank you. Something crazy today happened where today has been just a magical day for me personally. I woke up and I got my invitation to play for you guys this evening, and that was awesome. And then I put on my sweatshirt. That's actually one that I made for my music. It's, oh, well, I guess I can't show you guys, but I have a little strawberry heart that I made, and so I wore that to work, and everybody was giving me compliments. And then I got reached out to for playing for some more people, and I was just like, wow. I kind of opened myself up to actually get on here.
Is
I
it
was
strawberry?
actually no. So let's see, I can bring the sweatshirt out if anybody would like to see it at the end here. Yeah, that is my video. So awesome. Thank you.
I dropped it in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that I definitely opened myself up to getting on here with all of you guys, and I'm really grateful that I got this opportunity. And it seemed like everything kind of just kept on like coming back and like affirming that, yeah, like you should keep playing and sharing your music. That's you know, when that happens, it feels really great. So I just wanted to share that feeling with you guys. And yeah, you guys are kind of,
Pronoia.
yeah, kind of, yeah. Just wanted to share that. So I've got maybe one or two songs left for you guys. Is that okay? I haven't really been
We'll
checking
take all you want to give us.
time here. Okay, great.
Gratefully.
Awesome. So in that case, I'll just do one last song unless I find another one that feels right. But this one's called Be Easy, and it's definitely another very introspective song about how easy and hard at the same time it is to kind of just be nice to yourself and others. Like it should be so easy, but then it's not. I don't know. But this one's kind of about that. If it could just be easy, if I could just be kind. So many things to say, but I don't have the time. Wasting away, I'm wasting the day, but I was not brought up that way. Can't be satisfied and it's a curse. Want to get better before I get worse. Heart so big, well I think it may burst. Caring hurts. Cupid don't shoot the messenger, it's the truth. So what's it worth? Cause it could just be easy. I could just be kind. So many things to say, but I don't have the time. So many things to do, but I don't have the mind. So many things to say. So I wonder, are you really here? The lights are on, but you've disappeared. Are you floating above, just out of reach? Pinch me so I may awake from this dream. I could just stay in bed, start thinking, but I'll overdo it. The stars are winking like they got the joke. I don't know where else there is to go except to run through the water and run through the grass. Leave behind hatred, that's all in the past. I'll keep on moving in my direction. I'm more than what is in my reflection. It could be so easy, I could be kind. There is so much and I don't have the time. I'll work it all out, my body and soul. Oh so complex, but it's all that I know. All that I know. But it could just be easy. It could just be easy. If it could just be easy, I could just be kind. So many things to say, but I don't have the time. things to do, but I don't have a mind. So many things to say. Thank you.
Awesome, K-Love. We absolutely, I loved it, and I know that I'm not the only one. We could listen to you play for, another hour. And if you're welcome to keep playing if you like.
Thank you. I don't have anything else prepared right now, so
Okay.
but hopefully
Yeah.
some other time I'll come back with some more.
Yes,
Yes.
please, please. If you
And
want to practice for any of your shows, or just start feeling real comfortable playing in front of strangers, we can always be your guinea pigs.
Looking at the
Thank
chat
you so much.
now.
Awesome lyrics. Awesome lyrics, and your voice has just got such a clarity that is quite unique, and also like a fullness in the color. And so yeah, I just really loved everything that you played tonight. So beautiful job.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna send my social media information in the chat. So if you guys ever want to listen to me again, or if there's somebody in your life that you think should listen, I would love to be shared, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna put that in the chat, and thank you guys so much again. This was awesome, and
Yeah.
have a
Thank you,
wonderful rest of
Kayla.
your night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yay, I love you, Kayla.
Hey, Kayla, that was amazing.
Proud mamas.
Yes, thank you
Wow,
very
y'all.
much.
Today has been, every day has been just epic on here, but today we had some, like today's theme was restoration and capital transfer. So we really had some challenging, we talked about some challenging things here today on the train that were really important conversations, but they're not really always easy or comfortable ones to have. And so, yeah, I'm so grateful for the space and the safety that lies within it, and the vision train. And thank you so much for Design Science for offering us this opportunity to bring all these different brilliant minds and talents together, so that we can explore different immersive experiences that can help us really come together in our focus towards creating a planet that is regenerative for all life. So thank you so much for this beautiful day, and we can't wait to do it with you again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. We have 5 more days in store for you here at Regeneration Rising with Design Science Studio. We are here on the Vision Train. I am Alicia Sacred Heart, and I'm signing us off for now, but we will see you soon. Mwah.
Tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m., we'll have Snow Raven live doing an opening ceremony. Not to be missed.
Not to be missed. She'll be here live?
Live. Yeah, we'll have
Oh,
Snow Raven
goody.
live.
That's a good one to throw in there at the end. Okay, come see Snow Raven first thing tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 1 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Central European. So all y'all can make it.
Everyone can make it.
Yeah.
Siberian priestess, a most amazing indigenous wisdom keeper, and sings with the sounds of the animals, and this is seriously a sacred moment. And we also have an amazing spoken word, like BIPOC queer artists coming, and it's going to be a cool morning. So yeah, yay! Thank you, Train.
Thank you, Design Science.
Yeah, thank you, team. Thank you, Design Science Studio team. Thank you, artists.
Tomorrow's going to be a juicy one, man. We do have a juicy one in store for us tomorrow.
Who else is coming on?
My gosh, we have a lot of workshops tomorrow, actually, which is pretty cool. I know I was just looking at Liv Scott is going to do a few of their workshops tomorrow. Margie's doing a Consent for a Better World workshop in the morning. We also potentially have Tatiana from Leaders on Purpose, in addition to Sylvia, who's doing this installation at Burning Man, which is this big, beautiful bird that is a friend of Elena's. And so much more. Oh my goodness. Can't even.
Little preview for tomorrow.
28 different offerings or something like this.
And smack dab in the middle of its figure studies.
And we have figure studies. Yeah. So
smack dab in the middle of it all.
Hey, I didn't know if you were going to do it. That's great.
Oh, yeah. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're still looking for a live musician out there too. Nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
I'll be drumming, but for most of the evening, but I don't think you want to hear that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for giving us a preview for tomorrow.
Yes, I look forward to the morning meditation.
Yes. We'll see you